Hello and welcome back to the Preppy Podcast. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you had a lovely Thanksgiving. Today we are continuing with our holiday-related interviews. I am interviewing Jamie. She's the founder of Furbish Studio, which you guys know I'm a big fan of. I have a countless of her needlepoint pillows, and I shared her ornaments recently as well. The brand was part of Camp Preppy, and I just love their whimsy fun take on a preppy classic item in your home. But I really enjoyed this conversation with Jamie as she was really vulnerable, talking about how the business almost closed, how it's thriving today and what helped it get there, as well as, of course, some fun holiday related questions. So I think you guys are really going to love this episode and get you into the holiday spirit. But before we get into that, I wanted to remind you that our next Camp Preppy, the first Camp Preppy of 2026, is available. Tickets are live now on thepreppypodcast.com. There you will see we are going to Dallas, Texas. It's going to be at the Ritz-Carlton in Los Colinos, and it is February 6th through 8th. It's going to be sort of a Valentine's theme, super girly, feminine, and of course with lots of preppy activities, just like we did last time. Some things that we already have planned and secured are a tablescaping workshop with Roseanne Beck Collections, as well as a beauty and skincare little workshop with Lindsay, the founder of Storied Beauty. So more to come. That's just a little sneak peek of some of the things that we already have in the works. But stay tuned for more and get your tickets at thepreppypodcast.com. All right. So why don't you first let everyone know who you are, where you live, and what you do?
Sure. My name is Jamie Meares, and I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I am the founder and creative director of Furbish Studio.
Yes, and we were chatting a little bit offline about how I've been a fan for many years. I have your manifest pillow behind me, and my followers know, like in my house, I have a lot of your pillows and your home decor pieces. So I'm thrilled to have you on the podcast today.
Well, I'm very glad to be here.
So let's start at the beginning. Tell me a little bit about your childhood. Did you grow up in North Carolina too? Like, were you creative, entrepreneurial? What was your childhood like?
I did grow up in North Carolina. I grew up in a little town called Clemens outside of Winston-Salem, kind of middle of nowhere. And I'm an only child, so I grew up just my mom and my dad. And my mom was definitely very creative and very into decorating and rearranging and buying like new bedroom sets from Pier 1 all the time. Like there was a lot of, she just had a lot of fun with the house and moving things around. And so I definitely watched her do that, and I got that from her. I think because I was an only child, I was by myself a lot. And I think that probably spurs a lot of creativity. Just setting up like I'll be teacher and all of my stuffed animals will be the class. And you're just constantly talking to yourself and coming up with pretend things to play. And I think that, like I said, fueled some creativity. My grandmother was also very creative. She kind of did a little bit of everything. She quilted, she baked, she threw parties. She raised two kids on her own, and she was pretty remarkable in that she never got down on her situation. She never seemed to get bored living by herself. I was always inspired by how she always had a new project or several projects in the works that were all creative.
Yeah, I love that. So I'm a fellow only child too. So whenever I meet another only child, I feel like we always just hit it off. And I so resonate with that of being creative as an only child, because you're entertaining yourself, you're creating, a play from anything. And I also think in a way, you get along well with adults and other people because you're brought along to a lot of things with your parents, right? And you're hanging out with your parents a lot more than I think people with siblings do.
Absolutely. And I think there's so many positives and negatives to that, right? Like
Yeah.
I think that I realized with the help of my therapist at probably 40 years old that everyone in the room wasn't looking at me. you know, and not even in a like I'm so special great way. Even I just thought everyone's always looking at me and judging me and thinking about
Yeah.
me, and I just thought that the focus was always on me, and
Yeah.
it took a long time to not realize that.
Totally.
Growing up with adults, you learn how to get attention, you watch how they react to you. I think it
Hmm.
helped me develop a sense of humor because you're
Yeah.
always trying to make them laugh, and when they laugh, you're like, "Okay, I'm gonna do that more."
Yeah.
It also helped me learn to become pretty manipulative because it's like I was always like, since you're always at the adult table, you kind of learn to, they're paying attention to you, so you're like, "What can I do to get what I want?"
Yeah.
So
Totally. Some good skills for business, though.
independence,
Uh,
right? Like, yeah, confidence and independence, I feel like are important, and that came from that.
yeah, 1,000%. So, when it came time for college, then where did you go and what did you end up studying? Was it something, a more creative or more on the business entrepreneurial side?
I went to UNC Chapel Hill
Mhm.
and had a great time, loved it. I majored in creative writing. So I was
Okay.
in the creative writing program. It was very small there. There wasn't many of us. And I really thought I was going to write a book. That was the plan. But I was not focused enough, and I was not, what's the word I'm looking for, structured, or I just couldn't manage myself to do it. It was too overwhelming to write a book. So I applied after college to just about every glossy magazine possible.
Okay.
Um, I wanted to work. I was like, if I can't write, if I can't be disciplined, that's the word I'm looking for, disciplined enough to write,
Mhm.
then I need to be wrangled. So I'll try to go and write for a magazine, and applied everywhere. And I think that I got rejected everywhere except for like Women's Day. And
Okay.
it was like in Wisconsin or something.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to do that. That does not feel quite right. So I went to work at an advertising agency. It was just an available job right out of school, and I needed to make some money and get started. And I ended up staying there for 7 years. That
Wow.
was my first job and really my only job, my only experience with a boss. And we didn't even really have an office or a team. It was still just my boss and I in a room. So I was still kind of like left own devices. And I think that what was interesting about that time, I graduated college in 2002.
Okay.
Right. Yes, 2002. And when I graduated, in college, we most all of us had computers in our rooms. We brought like a big desktop computer to school.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't have laptops yet, but we were like doing Napster and MySpace. And I've always been very interested in computers and kind of at the forefront back then of what was happening. So I love to be on the computer. I loved my online world. And so when we graduated, I think we're one of the first generations that were sitting at a computer all day with access to the internet. And so I feel
Oh,
like
okay. Yep.
in your downtime, before you may have gone to talk to coworkers, or you may have gone around in the office to chit chat. Like I just sat at my desk and looked at Perez Hilton and read about Britney Spears and like caught up on the celebrity gossip. And that's when I got into blogs. And that's kind of when they started, is very, very early, but like 2003, there were a couple out
Yes.
there. So whenever I had free time at work, that's what I was doing. I was staying at my desk, staying online.
Mhm.
And after about a year of that, I thought, well, I'm going to start a blog too. It's appealing to
Okay.
me for the reading aspect of it. Also, the creative sort of almost scrapbooking and the journaling of it. I loved just
Mhm.
sharing what I was doing, what I was working on. I was newly married and had just bought a house. And so there were a lot of projects and fun things to share. And I'm sure back then I thought I was like the first one that had ever done any of that stuff, right? Like I'm going to paint my mantle, never done before, right? And so I just
Yeah.
thought all this was special enough to share. And I started sharing it, and of course, to no one. And then there would be like two readers, and I could see my traffic. Like back then, you could see your page views, and there'd be like
Yes.
three, five, and slowly people were starting to read it and come to my blog, and then starting to comment, and we formed a little community. And I just kept at it, just sharing interiors and sharing the stuff in my life, just very lifestyle. And then when Domino magazine closed, I was a huge fan and very influenced by Domino magazine. When it closed, somehow the New York Times found me. I think because I talked about and referred to Domino a lot. And they
Okay.
interviewed me about, kind of that seismic shift from glossy magazines were starting to close. People were
Mhm.
starting to share photos online and you couldn't tell who to credit. And the whole system was really getting shaken up. And so they interviewed me to talk about it. And they took some photos in my home and I made the front page of the style section, which was just a huge
Wow.
deal for me because I still wasn't very stylish. I was just like a country girl living in the middle of nowhere. And so what it did though was like skyrocket the traffic to my blog overnight. They
Okay.
mentioned the blog right first paragraph. And so that was really like a traction point that I knew, okay, there's people here. We're starting to form a following.
Mhm.
And I'm assuming you're going to ask me how Furbish started. I'm just fast forwarding.
Yeah, no, you're good. So at that point though, I mean, I remember those days. Like it was kind of like blogs were the social media because back then with Blogger, you could create an account and like comment on other people's, and like you said, you'd have a community and you could follow other blogs for lack of a better word. And so every morning you'd wake up and you'd like go through your list and see who posted something new, read it, comment back. So that yeah, I remember those days, and I remember your blog too. So once you got that feature and you were building an audience, this was still before like Instagram time, is that
Mhm.
correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then yeah, how did you decide to turn it into a business, I guess, because it sounded like leading up to it kind of was more like a hobby, and then this might have been the moment that was like, you know what, we have something here, I have an audience, I have a following and a community, like how can we leverage this?
That's exactly it. And I think it's an interesting point you make that before Instagram, blogs really were a form of social media. Like if you wanted to fangirl somebody or if you wanted to really like get inspired or influenced by someone, you'd read their blog. And
Yep.
and hopefully they'd give you something to read every day. But that's where I was getting my influence. There was one blog in
Mhm.
particular, it's Jordan Fernie's blog, Oh Happy Day. And I
Yeah.
remember that was kind of like she was like my it girl. And I
Mhm.
was watching her and I kind of modeled mine after hers. Like I'm going to share the same types of stuff that she does. It was like when you find someone now, an influencer that you really like and speaks to you, like that was mine back then. And
Yeah.
so at it. And then in the recession of 2008, 9, the advertising business really was struggling here in
Mhm.
Raleigh. I had moved to Raleigh. And I went in one day and unexpectedly lost my job. And I found myself at
Oh.
home that afternoon thinking, this is probably the time that I need to figure out how to monetize this following.
Mhm.
And there was no one to look to really to figure out how to do this because
Yeah.
people were starting to figure it out. And so there were maybe some like paid banners you could put on your blog and
Yeah, because this was before affiliate marketing, like before LTK and all of that. So yeah.
for reward style and LTK, and there was no way to monetize it other than to get sponsored posts, like to work with a company like
Mhm.
Target and create posts for them, like advertisements for
Mhm.
them, or to put these banner ads on your blog. And I couldn't quite find my fit there. And back then, if you wanted to influence someone, you either had to do it like that, like work with Hallmark or Target and use their products to do something in your style, or you had to start a brand and like sell them the product.
Yep.
And I was right at that crossroads. I mean, even like a few months later after I started Furbish, the influencer world started to build up and it became
Mm.
clearer how to make a path making money that way. But I had committed to Furbish. I thought I am going to make the product that these people can buy. If they like me and they
Okay.
like my taste, I'm going to sell directly to them. And so I thought I had always kind of had a little store itch that I needed to scratch. And lots of people said, well, get a booth at the flea market or try some pop-ups. And I just wasn't hearing it. I knew I wanted to go all in. So I
Mm-hmm.
found a little spot in Raleigh, a cute little spot on the corner across from a park. And I rented it quickly, like in November. I rushed to have it upfit for Christmas. And I
Wow.
opened with my mom and I painted some furniture, hence the name Furbish. We were refurbishing stuff. This was back when, like, cottagey, you'd find pieces at the flea market or at thrift stores and you'd paint them or lacquer
Yeah.
them. There's a lot of that just starting to happen. And then, like, my grandmother sewed some Christmas ornaments. She made some birds out of fabric, and I made lavender linen spray out of water and lavender and, packaged it. And we just scrapped together whatever we could for inventory. And I opened the doors, and I felt like I really was able to call on my following. I was like, I have built it. Will
Mm-hmm.
you come? And they came. It became a destination spot pretty quickly,
Yeah.
which was cool. Like, the reach of the blog, so many people from all over the country, if they were in Raleigh, would come to the store. And it
Mm-hmm.
quickly became, I sort of manifested my blog into a physical space. I was like,
Wow.
I'm blogging about, like, pink sofas and flamingo wallpaper and Kelly Wearstler pillows, and no one in Raleigh had really seen all of that in person. A lot of us
Yeah.
hadn't seen stuff in person yet. We were just getting exposed to it through blogs and some magazines. And I thought, what if we could walk in and touch it and feel it? So I made a pink sofa and I wallpapered the wall with pink flamingos. And I just tried everything I'd ever wanted to try, but didn't know how to put it in my home, or maybe couldn't quite afford it for myself. I just made and put it in the store. It was a lot of one-offs, like reupholstering one thing and making just one pillow. And so I just tried it all. And I think that was fun for people because it kept it fresh, and I kept
Yeah.
refreshing the inventory, and it felt very current.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just share it online. I was not selling online.
Okay.
That was still kind of in the early days of that, where it was a little tricky. You'd have to figure it out. And I was focused on the store. And so I was kind of blogging my way through the store. And every now and then someone would ask, can I buy that? Can you ship it? And I would figure it out. And I had enough of that after about like 9 or 10 months, we opened a little, like, Shopify store.
Wow. Okay. That's early for back then, I feel like ahead of the times.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
early. And I was also, as this is happening, Instagram is starting to happen. So the nice thing about, I don't have a huge following, but I have a, decent size for myself and Furbish, is because we were there on day one
Yeah.
and we saw the value in it and we had the content. And so I just was sharing all of it. It's kind of like what people want to see now. They want to see the origin of the brand and the back end, and somewhere in between I stopped sharing all of that. But when I was going, I really got to show people they did it. I feel like they did it with me. They got to see it,
Yes.
and I would ask them questions and I would get feedback, and it really was a community back then, and it worked.
Mm-hmm. So tell me then about when did you start manufacturing like your own products? Because it sounds like when you launched, it was you and your family making these. So when did you decide you needed to really like scale it up? Like you couldn't be making everything yourself, right?
Right. Well, quickly I did start carrying other lines. I started buying wholesale other product lines. So I would go to New York or go to Atlanta market and, place orders like a regular retail store would. And I got, deeper and deeper in that, and that was fun, like curating the brands that I sold. And I think I maybe 2 years in, one got the idea of making a needlepoint pillow, and I found a company that let me private label through them. So I really didn't, that first batch, I didn't go directly overseas with the manufacturer. I went through a company
Okay.
here in the US who sold it to me like below wholesale. So I was able to make a better margin, and then they private labeled it for me. And the very first pillow we made said, "Everyone's a dumb whore." And that was a quote from the show, the Dunham show. There's one
Mhm.
scene where Shoshana is like outside of a rave in Brooklyn and she just screams like, "Everyone's a dumb whore." So that was the first one. And I think no one really even knew what it came from or what it meant. It
Yeah.
was just so shocking and
Yeah.
subversive because it was done in needlepoint that I sold quite a few of them. And so that made me think, okay, let's do a small little run of these. And I think we produced maybe 4.
Okay.
And then I started taking it overseas myself and learning how to import and what all that entailed, which was a whole new thing to learn.
Definitely.
And the needlepoints did well. I took a pause. I really only did that first collection. And back then, I had to order such huge minimums that it took me
Mhm.
forever to get through them. But they definitely appealed to people, and people asked for them and talked about them, and it was a nice kind of higher price point item, and people thought it was worth the price. So I knew I was onto something. My grandmother needle pointed and
Okay.
cross stitched, and so that was always part of my life, and it appealed to me. And I started thinking, my sense of humor is pretty like silly and a little ratchet. And I thought, like, what if I combined these two? If I it's really like combining who I was. I was sort of living in this fancy world of interiors, but I was still kind of like a hood rat from Winston-Salem and with like country family that was like cross stitching. And I thought, like, how can I tie all this together? And the pillows were kind of the perfect way for me to do that. So,
What year was that you launched them first?
I mean, it was whatever the first season of Girls was. Well, that would be our marker.
Okay.
I don't know
So
offhand, like
But so it
2005.
was before, like, needlepoint, I feel like, is having such a moment right now, and I feel like that's, because of COVID, like, people just getting into hobbies like that. So this was before that, though, like, way
Yeah,
before
this
that,
was
a few years.
probably like 6 to 7 years before COVID. So,
Okay.
we were probably like 2012 at that point. So I was like 3 years into the business, 2 or 3 years in. And they were funny and they were snarky and, with like the bold, loud colors that I like. So it was kind of that combo of all the things. And as as it kept going, I moved into a huge store here in Raleigh. I rented like a warehouse, and I got it for such a cheap price, and it was like 10,000 square feet. And we really
Oh my
like
gosh.
created a playground in this place. Like I had whole walls graffitied. I had a running projector all day long with like Nicki Minaj videos and just weird shit going on. And it was something. Like, it was really fun. It had so much inventory in it. I can't even wrap my mind around now, like, how much
Yeah.
inventory dollars were sitting in that place. But, we probably had 6 or 7 beds at a time, like upholstered, fully made beds, and
Oh my
probably
gosh.
like 3 or 4 living room vignettes. And I mean, I just sold everything under the sun. And all of it was other brands except for the furniture I would make myself and
Okay.
reupholster and paint and whatnot. And so that was going great. And I kind of lost sight of the custom pillows because we were, just so much was going on. And I was
Mhm.
growing and growing. I'm in this huge space. I've got a huge staff. I've got all these girls working for me. No one's in charge. It gets to the point where it's almost too big for me. And
Yeah.
what really happened is we had a really great Christmas. I mean, I just bought whatever I wanted, and I bought it in
Yeah.
quantity. Like, there was no open to buy, there was no budget. It was just buy it and we'll sell
Whatever
it.
you wanted. Yeah.
And so had this 10,000 square foot store full for the holidays. People were in there all the time. They were buying it. It was great. And then in January, my Amex bill came, and it was like maybe 500, $600,000. And I was
Oh
like,
my
huh,
gosh.
like, I can't pay that. And that was like, as sad as it is, my like big wake up call. It was like the salad days of Furbish. Everyone loved it. I loved it. We were just making money and selling stuff, and getting so much press. But in the end, I had no hold on the cash flow. I had no concept of cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
And there was so much like money up in the air. And when that Amex bill came, it felt like it all fell down.
Yeah.
And I was left kind of like, I don't have enough chips to cash out here. So what am I going to do to keep playing? And I was getting really discouraged. And this was probably like 2018 at this point, beginning of 19. And I thought, it's been a good run. And I had an amazing opportunity to do this. I'm glad I did, but I don't think I want to do it anymore because I didn't know how to hire. I couldn't seem to find the right help. I didn't even know what I was looking for really because I didn't have a lot of business experience. I just had my gut. So I was kind of thinking, let's try to shutter this. I hadn't done it, but things were getting really pared down. We closed all the stores. It was just me and another girl working. We were selling like $3,000 a day, like bare bones, just getting by. I had a friend. He wasn't my friend at the time, but a guy named Jeff relocated from New York to Raleigh. He came from Diane von Furstenberg and took a job with a jewelry company here. And we met and we hit it off immediately. And we were both interested in business, and he had a lot more experience than me. And eventually he was like, let me just poke under the hood a little bit and see what you got before you close it. And what started as him just kind of learning about the business led to him coming on, working with me. He worked for free for a while. Then I paid him a little. And we just kept, he looked for all of the things that needed fixing, all the pain points, all the opportunities. One of the big opportunities he saw was, he was like, you really had a thing with these needlepoint pillows. What if we start manufacturing our own? And he knew how to do that in the way that I didn't. Like how to flow orders and how to project cash flow and how to put them on sale when they weren't selling. So we started doing that. So I designed some more and we had them produced and they were doing great. And it was a great time. We started to get momentum again. And I was like, okay, we're going to do this and he's going to help me. And it's hard and it's different. It's a whole new ball game now, but we're going to do this. And then COVID hit, and we were positioned so well for COVID. We were selling home furnishings and happy stuff, which everyone wanted. We already had a pretty solid online presence. Our store ran well online. Like we were just in the right place at the right time. And so 2020 was just a fantastic year. I think we quadrupled our revenue. And so it really gave us all the morale we needed to dig back in and recommit. And since then, for the last 5 years, we've been pushing that like hyper growth that we saw in COVID. It sort of set the bar very high. And I, started to build the company. I thought I was going to build it to sell it. And so that was very driven by get the revenue up. Since then, I've changed my mind. I'm going to stay in it. I would like to sell it one day, but it's not as imminent as I thought. But we set these lofty goals, and we've been now growing it since COVID, year over year, like 30-50% every year. And now it's getting really hard because when you get to a certain revenue, it's really, really hard to keep it going, to keep growth going like that.
Yeah. I mean, what a comeback story, though, honestly. Like, thinking that it was over and, paying those Amex bills to now just continuing growth, I mean, is so amazing and inspiring.
Yeah, it was. I was very grateful to be in the right place at the right time and to have put the work in to be ready when it happened. And so, one of the big changes Jeff made is we started manufacturing all of our own product, and I didn't sell anyone else's. So everything from Furbish
margins are better.
Yeah, margins are better, and then we went into wholesale, so people could buy Furbish. So we opened up another sales channel, and the needlepoint pillows just became the thing. And now we're going into 2026. I think we're going to have like 250 SKUs. Now
Oh,
there's like a
wow.
sports program and a Zodiac program, and we license with Broadway and sports teams and Disney and HBO. And it's been a wild ride, and it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere.
Yeah.
I think it's going to stick around. I hope, like you said, needlepoint is having a moment, but it's one of those things that's been around for so long. I don't think it will go away.
Yeah.
It's tricky now because a lot of people are. They're copying us, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're not the first people to put words on a pillow. I get it, but we're now like Kirkland's and TJ Maxx and a
Mm.
lot of sort of lower
Which is
price.
Yeah, it's hard to compete at that price point. I see that a lot, with my clients too. But I know you also recently, I feel like, have focused on ornaments as well. And as like we're in the holiday season now, so can you talk a little bit about the ornaments? Like you have the needlepoint ornaments, but then you also have some beautiful. I have one behind me. I don't know if people can see it. Glass ornaments. So that's like another avenue, right?
Right. Yeah, we are a big holiday company now, which I didn't see coming. So it's really like the needlepoint pillows and holiday are our sweet spots. And I think that holiday works for us because it's so sparkly and it's like the icing on top of the cake. Over the
Mhm.
last 15 years of doing this, I've tried so hard to sell the cake, and people don't come to Furbish for the cake. They come for the sprinkles. And that's what we.
Yes.
And I feel like Christmas ornaments are like the ultimate sprinkle. They're shiny
Yeah.
and they're sparkly. And the needlepoint just translates so well to ornaments. We've got sayings, like the pillow sayings are on the round ornaments, and then we call them the icon collection, which are all the shapes,
Mhm.
um and they're super cute. They're just eye candy, and
They're a good price point.
those are a good price point. And
Mhm.
what I like about the pillows and the ornaments is people have an immediate emotional reaction to them. It just
Yes.
makes you happy or it makes you laugh. And the cool thing about them, especially the pillows, is that it immediately makes you think of someone else. You
Mhm.
see it and you're like, that is so her, or that's
Yes,
so him. And so that lends itself well to being like a really great gift, right?
1,000%.
Leaned into that gifting angle. And I think something, like 70% of our pillow purchases are people buying for someone else.
Mhm.
And I think it's just, it tickles you and it makes you laugh. And then you think of someone and you give it to them, and then they feel seen, like they feel
Mhm.
immediately seen. And then they've got this cool thing that they can display in their house and look at every day and laugh or be tickled. It's
Yep.
perfect for Instagramming. It's like the ultimate meme in person, so it's like Instagram ready. So I think it has a lot of the perfect storm of that. And then the ornaments just felt like the natural extension of that. The glass ornaments,
Uh-huh.
we translated some of the needlepoint sayings, but then we also did a travel series. Like, travel has
Mhm.
always been a big part of my life, and I think that my followers enjoyed watching my travel expand and watching me talk about and share. And so that became sort of part of the DNA of Furbish. It was,
Mhm.
locations and getting mementos from the locations. And so we did the Matchbox series of ornaments. We keep expanding that. And I mean, that's kind of our plan. We're going to stay on it. It's needlepoint and holiday.
I love it. And I think the gifting concept is so right, because I have your mahjong needlepoint pillow, and that one of my best friends gave to me for my birthday last year. And I remember even walking through market, 2 years ago probably, and you had some Taylor Swift needlepoint pillows, and I took a picture of it and texted it to my friend. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so you. You need that. So it sounds like you're in a really good place. You know what your customers want, and how it works for them, essentially, right? So can you talk a little bit about like what's been working for you in terms of marketing these days? Obviously, when you first started, it was the blog, and then that translated over into getting onto Instagram early and having that following. But what's working right now, would you say?
Well, that's a really great question. And I would say that it is one of our biggest pain points right now because I come from a different world of Instagramming and content creation where I want everything to be beautiful. I want it to be polished and cool. I
Yeah.
don't want to show you how the sausage is made. I want to show you the coolest version and the prettiest version and the most curated, edited. I'm an editor at heart. I want to show you the edit. And as we all know, that does not work anymore. And
Yeah.
so we're having a really hard transition at Furbish. I want, and everyone wants me to be the one to do it, and I can't. It just won't work. I cannot.
Yeah.
I've tried. I am not made for video. I'm made for still photographs. You can photograph me all day long, but I'm, I just can't do it. I don't want to show you. If it's not perfect, I don't want to show it.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of bloggers feel that way, like the OG bloggers, because that's blogging. Everything was so pretty and curated, and you'd have photo shoots, and it's hard to switch your mindset then from that, right?
It's very hard, and I don't want to die on this hill because I think it's really important that we transition. We just can't quite figure out how to do it. I've tried to hire content creators, like younger ones especially.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get anyone who gets the aesthetic enough for me.
Yeah.
Even though it needs to be grainy and real and behind the scenes, I think it still has to be on brand. And I
Yes.
can't let that go. And so
Yeah.
I've had several like young people here in Raleigh create content for me, and I just cringe. Like I can't. I'm like, you didn't use the right fonts, and we would never put that in a photo, and this and that, and I'm probably wrong, but I can't let go of it, and I'm in the way. So if
Yeah.
anyone listening to this wants a content creator job, we are hiring. We are hiring. We are hiring. We need someone to
Perfect. You know what? It's funny though, I'm kind of waiting for it to come back around. Like I feel like social media and trends in fashion, everything's so cyclical. So like give it 5 years and maybe those polished, pretty pictures will be like what's working for the algorithm then.
Well, the funny thing is that your organic content is free marketing if it
Yeah.
works, right? It costs
Yep.
nothing. It costs nothing to put all this stuff up. And if it were to go viral, that's the best marketing money can pay for because money didn't have to pay for it, right? Because
Yeah.
the alternative is like what works for us is we spend almost all of our marketing budget on paid advertising
Mhm.
through Meta. So, we're
Yeah.
advertising on Instagram, we're advertising on Facebook, we're remarketing, and it's not sexy. And it's what digital brands have to do now. It's how you market. It's where you put your
Yep.
dollars. You put like part of the machine, and the machine wants us to do it this way, and that's what we do now. And I would love to be able to shift so much of that paid marketing over to organic content that
Mhm.
can go viral. And so we just haven't made the shift, and I don't. We're trying. We're trying.
Yes. I feel like a lot of people struggle with that though, honestly, these days. So since this is the Preppy podcast, I always ask everyone, what does preppy mean to you?
Well, I think that in my world, preppy, the needle points are just intrinsically preppy. I think
Mhm.
that they have such wide appeal because at the base level, they appeal to everyone preppy who loves needlepoint.
Yeah.
And then because we've got this sort of friction of putting rap lyrics or things you wouldn't expect on needlepoint on there, we get the next level of people who aren't just needlepoint people, but are like, that is wild that all that is together. And so we get the next level. But I do think, it just boils down to the needlepoint is preppy. I am not preppy. I did not grow up preppy. I've
Mhm.
dabbled in it. Like right now, the preppiest I get is I'm very into rugby shirts. I feel like that's a preppy moment. Um, but I didn't grow up like a Lily Pulitzer girl or pink and green girl.
Yeah.
I grew up kind of like a weird girl. And like I said, I kind of dabbled in a lot of things, but I've found myself surprisingly in a very preppy world of needlepoint, which I love, and it's
Yeah.
great. But yeah, I still kind of have this working definition of preppy from my blogger days. So many
Yeah.
blogs were preppy and had a preppy take on them. And I just think like pink and green and lily and pineapples and um, And then it kind of moved into like a little bit more like grand millennial, right? Like that
Yeah.
started to come
Mhm.
under that same umbrella. And I'm definitely there. Like I love a chintz. I love a
Yeah.
like a Dorothy Draper moment. So I love to incorporate all that into my style. I think there's like
Mhm.
bits of preppy in there.
1,000%. No, I can see that. What's been a big pinch me moment? Like, what are you most proud of with the business?
That's a good question, and I am not one to celebrate wins. I'm trying to do better at that. I never really stop in the moment and celebrate a win. I just go ahead and move the goalposts, and I don't really like celebrate in the moment of pinch me's. Right now, I think something fun that's happening is we are so starting in the new year. We're going to offer custom needle points, so you can put a
Oh,
name. You can put a date, a place, and we've got a little bit of a different format we're offering, almost like your manifest pillow. You can just put like a big name on top of a very cool needlepoint pattern.
cool. Yeah.
And we started this by we work with a great PR company, and we
Mhm.
designed like 50 pillows for celebrities to gift them this holiday season. And we did this new style of custom pillow. So it's a lot of like I made one for their kids, or I made one for the name of their house, like if they have a vacation house. And we're just sending them out today, literally. And we're excited about that when they, I hope, and I do think that the product's cool enough that I'm hoping they'll Instagram it, right? It's a cool gift.
Yes.
It's a nice, I hope it won't get tossed to the side. But I think in terms of the celebrities, that's been pinch me moments. We've had a lot of celebrities mention our pillows or buy our pillows, and that's always really fun.
Yeah.
This recent round of pillows that we are doing, one of the people I'm gifting to is Derek Blossberg, and
Okay.
he's just a New York guy who is a magazine writer, editor, and he's kind of friends with everybody. He's just
Hmm.
on the scene. He's friends with like every supermodel. He's friends with every Kardashian. You just see him. If there's a thing, he is at it, and he is like the low key guy that just doesn't try to make a thing out of it. He just seems to be friends with everybody. And
Oh,
he asked us to make a couple of custom pillows. I made two for his kids, and then he said, "Will you just make a few more for me? I want to give a few to my friends." And I said, "Sure." And he said, "One, my friend has a boat. Would you just make a cute little pillow and put this?" He had a little poem like roses are red, violets are blue. We love being on Corfu, which is the name of the boat. How about you?
yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. We'll give it to your friend. It'll go on his like sailboat or whatever. And so when I'm designing it, I look up the name of the boat because I want to make sure, like, is it a yacht? Is it a sailboat? So I look up the
Yeah.
name of the boat. It's Jeff Bezos's boat.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's Jeff Bezos. It's the largest sailboat yacht in the entire world. And I just got a kick out of that. I was like, now our pillow is going to be sitting on Jeff Bezos's yacht.
On the fanciest yacht in the world. I love that.
That was funny. We also we did custom pillows for the whole Bush family, like George and Laura and the girls, and they only did their nicknames on them. And so, like, I made a pillow for George Bush that says "Tummy Tough." Like, I don't know what that is, but that's okay. It was, you just never know. And so, I think things
Yeah.
like that have been fun. We just did a collection of exclusive pillows with Patricia Atchell from
I love
Southern
those.
Charm, and that was fun.
Yes.
I mean, the pillows are gorgeous. She did such a good job of promoting them. They
Mhm.
sold out, and that was a great moment. And now we're doing a lot of collaborations with some other Bravo housewives, which I'm excited about.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait.
Sonia and Sonia from New York, and
Mhm.
Luann and Lisa Renna, and they're reaching out to us, which is kind of wild.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that is so cool. That you must have so much fun designing those. Now I have a few holiday related questions since we're in the holiday season. Just some like quick, like your perspective on it. So, how would you describe how you decorate your home for the holidays?
I'm definitely like a colored light girl. and I'm a maximalist when it comes to Christmas.
Yeah.
There's no white trees and white lights. There's nothing silver happening. I love a colorful, nostalgic, bright, happy Christmas. So we get a real tree every year. I do tons of colored lights. I like a flashing colored light on the tree. Um, and I've got all my ornaments from my childhood and, lots of fun Furbish ornaments. And we've added new ornaments with our children. And the one thing is we go to Colorado every Christmas, and we usually go like the third week in December. So like the 18th or somewhere around in there. So I always get my tree here in North Carolina very early so I can enjoy it before we go. And then in Aspen, we cut a tree out of the woods for the Christmas tree, like drag it into the house, and then we decorate that one there. And so I have 2 trees, and so I have to like space them out so every tree gets enjoyed.
I love that. It sounds magical. What's your favorite holiday tradition?
My favorite holiday tradition?
Yes.
Well, I grew up in a Moravian church. None of that really stuck with me other than like the vibe. I think Moravians have a great vibe. But they had a Christmas love feast every year, and my family would help with it and be part of it. And it was just a big part of my family. My mom and my aunt would work at it, and I would sing at it. And the Moravian love feast is just like a really special ceremony. There's candles, there's coffee. They give you a like delicious bun to eat. It's not like overly like there's no sermon or anything. It's just this lovely, like I always equate it with Christmas time. I haven't gone in so long, but I'm going to go again this year. I'm excited about that. And it's just nostalgic. I mean, Christmas for all of us, but specifically me, it's just nostalgia. And if I can get that feeling, however, I just love it. So that's a tradition that we think of. And then, going to Colorado has become a tradition. It's nice there because it pretty much always snows on Christmas, which is just magical. That there's to be somewhere where there's snow on the ground and it's snowing on Christmas is just really special. I'm glad my kids are going to get to have that.
That sounds so special. Okay, and then finally, if you had to pick one item to gift from Furbish for the holidays, like what would you recommend? Just one item.
I think that our pillow that says something like at this age, I'm not meant to live an uncomfortable life.
Yeah.
It's just everybody. Number one, it's our best-selling pillow ever, but I get it because I have one here. And I don't have too many needle points in my house because it would get crazy if I did. But that one, I just have, it's funny, no matter what age you are, no matter where you have it, I think it's just a great gift for anybody. And so I am gifting that pillow to several people, and I have it here. But I think that one has the broadest appeal right now.
That's so funny. I had no idea that was the best-selling one. That's so interesting. Well, this has been so great chatting with you today. So final question is, where can people find you? Let them know website URL, social media handles, all of that so they can shop, support, and follow along.
Well, we're at furbishstudio.com for shopping, and Instagram is Furbish Studio. I'm Jamie Meares on Instagram. And then for people listening that have a store, you can find us on Fair. We have all of our products on Fair. And then we've got next season already up for pre-order on Fair. And then we're also at the Dallas and Atlanta gift markets. We have booths there if you want to find us. And we're also sold in stores all over the country, including like Macy's, Bloomingdale's, West Elm, Anthropologie. We're in lots of stores this season.
Amazing. Well, I absolutely love this. So thank you so much for being on the Preppy Podcast.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, and I had a good time.
Thank you so much for listening to the Preppy Podcast. I hope this put a little prep in your step for the day. Please subscribe, rate, and review on wherever you listen to your podcast, and follow along with @the Preppy Podcast on social media.